Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia Datuk Marzuni Syam Omar, Deputy Governor Bank Negara Malaysia. Yang berusaha Encik Muhammad Muazzam Muhammad, Presiden Association of Islamic Banking and Financial Institutions Malaysia AIBIM and Group CEO Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad. Yang berusaha Dr. Kasim Nur Muhammad, Chief Executive Officer ELMU Group. Respected MACC officials, respected BNM officials, Chief Executive Officers and representative of AIBIM member banks, industry players, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to AIBIM Integrity Year 2023 Town Hall Session organized by AIBIM and ELMU Group as the knowledge partner. For your kind information, an exchange of memorandum of collaboration between AIBIM and ELMU Group was held earlier this morning, witnessed by the Honorable Deputy Chief Commissioner of Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Operations, Yang berbahagia Datuk Seri Ahmad Kushairi Yahya, representing the Honorable Chief Commissioner of MACC, Tan Sri Datuk Seri Haji Azam Baki, and this town hall session is the inaugural collaboration program between these two entities. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us welcome Yang berbahagia Datuk Marzuni Syam Omar, Deputy Governor Bank Negara Malaysia, to deliver his special address. Yang berbahagia Datuk Marzuni Syam, please.
Terima kasih Tuan Pengerusi Majlis. I'm not so sure whether this address is special or not, but it is certainly a pleasure to be here this morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be here. It's good to see some familiar faces in the Islamic finance community. And then, of course, thank you very much to AIBIM for this invitation for me to say a few words on integrity. Integrity is very close to my own heart, and as this audience well know, it is the cornerstone of the well-functioning financial system. Throughout the history, we have seen the hugely damaging consequences from bank runs, financial market meltdowns, and other financial shocks that occur when the public can no longer count on financial institutions to do the right thing, especially to do the right thing in private and not in front of the regulators only. And yet, cases of corruption and financial management continue to abound. Trust is so central to banking. If we already know how badly things can go when trust breaks down, why is integrity, or the lack thereof, still an issue in this time? Anybody here who has ever had to make a difficult life decision may understand why integrity is not a given. It cannot be written or codified into existence. Integrity requires continuous personal and institutional reflection of what our values are. Above all, it demands from us the strongest form of ethical courage to stay true and consistent to these values, especially when it is much easier to do otherwise. The 2022 Corruption Perception Index by the Transparency International showed that Malaysia is ranked 61 compared to 51 in 2019. While Malaysia has made great strides in addressing corruption and strengthening governance and integrity in recent times. For example, through the National Anti-Corruption Plan, our success in fighting corruption and improving governance hinge on our ability to come together and our commitment to play our role, all the stakeholders to play our role in this very important endeavor. Ladies and gentlemen, integrity holds an even more foundational place within Islamic finance. Upholding high standards of ethical behavior and personal integrity at all times are not simply actions that guarantee good governance or financial stability. In Islam, they are virtuous ends within themselves. Many verses of the Quran and Hadith emphasize the importance of integrity. One such example is Sahih al-Bukhari 7138, where Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam bersabda, "Surely every one of you is a guardian and is accountable for his charges." In today's speech, I would like to touch upon two aspects of banking where the integrity of an institution truly comes to the fore. One, corporate governance and workplace culture. Every individual is responsible for their actions, but what parameters has the institutions put in place to make it easier to do the right thing? Two, the institutional role in preserving national integrity through effective and strict measures against money laundering and terrorism financing, more commonly referred to as MLTFs. Firstly, governance and culture. While each individual is responsible for maintaining high standards of integrity in their personal conduct and everyday work, the institution's management has a duty to ensure that the systems in place do not become an impediment to individuals' acts of honesty, transparency, and integrity. Encouraging staff at all levels to voice their concerns, fostering an environment of healthy debate, and championing individual examples of personal integrity in the workplace are all important steps towards a robust check and balance system within the institution. A strong governance framework would promote these ideals while mitigating the worst effects of their absence. This includes, among others, clear roles and accountabilities across all key actions or leaders, with all key actors or leaders within the institution, strong whistleblowing policies, transparent procurement framework and procedures, and a continuous commitment towards awareness training on best practices in these areas. In this regard, leaders have an important role to play, from setting the right tone from the top to exhibiting the right values and behaviors, that is, walk the talk. Within Islamic finance, these are practices that are in line with the principle of Maqasid al-Sharia. The consideration of wider social welfare and the greater good should form the basis of all personal conduct and, on a higher level, institutional decisions. VBI, value-based intermediation, similarly calls for Islamic financial institutions to deliver the highest ethical standards in all aspects of businesses by embedding self-discipline and continuous improvement within their operations and practices. This is in line with Sharia principles of righteousness, or what we call ihsan, and consultation, or istihara. Ladies and gentlemen, let me now shift gears from the institutional to the systemic. With the continuously evolving ML and TF risks, banks are expected to play a more active role in protecting the wider integrity of the financial system and ultimately the public. This demands greater vigilance and awareness of trends of serious crimes in the country and emerging threats impacting the system. It also calls for effective responses in the form of more robust, agile controls to address these identified threats and trends and threats in a timely manner. From the National Risk Assessment 2020, undertaken by members of the National Coordination Committee to counter money laundering, to assess and facilitate the understanding of MLTF risk exposures, it was found that the 5 high-risk crimes that pose substantial MLTF threats to the country are corruption, fraud, smuggling, illicit drug trafficking, and organized crimes. Corruption remains a systemic issue and is particularly insidious since it facilitates and sometimes enables other major crimes such as fraud, drug and human trafficking, as well as environmental crimes. The assessment also indicated that the banking sector is exposed to a high level of MLTF risk, with banks as the nexus between all financial and non-financial sectors. The banking platform has become an ideal channel to be abused for criminal activities, including corruption. In this regard, it is crucial that banks understand these key risk drivers to accurately assess whether their current systems are sufficiently adequate in the face of such risks, and deploy their resources more strategically to focus on addressing specific high-risk areas. Some best practices for control measures include improving the ability to detect and deter illegal fund flows within the system, conducting swift identifications of illegal transactions and prompt submissions of suspicious transaction reports, STR. Banks are also highly encouraged to make good use of technological advancements to develop more holistic monitoring and risk detection systems and stronger compliance to AML-CFT requirements. It goes without saying that savvy systems alone are not the one-stop solution. This must be complemented by continuously maintaining and upgrading relevant competencies of AML-CFT personnel through investments in training. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take a moment here to commend the industry on the strides it has made in the AML-CFT space over time. In particular, STR received from the banking sector have steadily improved in quality over the years. There is no doubt that these STRs and the overall cooperation of banks with the relevant authorities, especially the law enforcement authorities, have been useful in supporting enforcement activities. These include supporting MACC's investigations through timely responses to orders, provision of documents, and witnesses. This cooperation has also included active participation in public-private partnership initiatives, including the recently established National Scams Response Center. As a member country of the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, Malaysia will once again be undergoing a mutual evaluation exercise in 2024 and 2025. This is an in-depth assessment of the country's measures to combat money laundering and terrorist financing risks and its compliance with the international standards set by the FATF. This will be the fourth time for us to undergo the mutual evaluation, and the last one was in 2014. It is my hope that the strides that we made in our AML CFT ecosystem, the strong commitments of all institutions towards a high integrity financial system, and effective cooperation between the industry and public authorities will be reflected in the eventual outcomes of the evaluation exercise. We know the consequences of being assessed to be, not in compliance with the money laundering international standards. It could pose serious risks to our reputations, to our financial system, to investors' confidence, as well as generally to the economic stability. So this mutual evaluation is very important, and I trust that all the banking institutions will play your part and give us your full support. In particular, it is paramount for all staff of reporting institutions to maintain high professional standards, adhere to existing confidentiality requirements, and undergo adequate AML CFT training. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to leave you with a line that is often quoted when speaking about integrity. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. While the quote may have been overused, it has not dimmed its truth one bit. It is much easier to do the right thing under watchful eyes, especially under the watchful eyes of your regulator, or under the safety barriers of procedures, or even the instruction of prescriptive rules. But oftentimes, the decisions that will matter most are what we choose to do when nobody but our conscience is watching. It is when an institution knows without doubt that its people will stay the course in these situations that it can truly claim to have achieved the ideal culture. Before I end, I would like to congratulate AIBIM on the launch of Integrity Year 2023, and it is my sincere hope that all participants today, whether in this room today or from your respective institutions, will benefit from a deeply beneficial and fulfilling program after this, as well as the programs planned for the rest of the year. With that, thank you and Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you yang berbahagia Datuk Deputy Governor. Please remain on the stage. Yang berbahagia Datuk, while I'll invite Yang Berusaha Encik Muhammad Muazzam, President of AIBIM, to hand over a memento to yang berbahagia Datuk Marzun Hisham. Thank you yang berbahagia Datuk Marzun Hisham, Deputy Governor Bank Negara Malaysia, and thank you President of AIBIM.